say as well, congratulations on 10 years.
Thank you very much.
I was going to say
it was the quickest 10 years. And I don't know, is that down to the fact that I'm having fun or the fact that I'm getting older? Be very careful what you say.
Let's go with the first one. And the fact that we're all having fun with you. And sure, I'd be doing this for 2 years almost, like, and it feels mad because it's always such a treat to come up here to Letterkenny and do the radio with you.
You're saying all the right things now. It makes me wonder sort of just, what are you after?
Yeah, well, you see, it's all sugar and spice because, we're going to talk Disney, and I'm very much capturing my inner child because...
King of the segue.
Yeah, because, of course, the big one this week is the OG princess herself, Snow White. When Disney went to make the first movie, I think it came out in 1937. I might have the year slightly wrong. It was called Disney's Folly because everyone said there is no way children would sit through a full movie in the cinema, in the theatre. And, of course, it's long before TV or anything like that. They said... 5-10 minutes of cartoons before a movie, that's what kids are like, get rid of them. Nobody ever did. And of course it was a massive success, led to all of the other things, the parks, everything that, the behemoth that Disney is. Because Disney wasn't doing great at the time they made this movie, and then it changed their life. So it was always inevitable in this era of them making, live action remakes, that sooner or later they would go on Snow White. And they must have said, Rory, when they made this, sat down at the meeting and said, let's do Snow White. There'll be no problem, no fuss at all, no flashback. Nobody can have a problem with Snow White is what they said. Nothing can go wrong now is what they said. And as you probably heard, it hasn't gone smoothly for them. So first of all, there was the casting. Then there's stuff, Rachel Ziegler, who's the star of it, said some stuff about the war in the Middle East. Gal Gadot, who plays the wicked stepmother, is from Israel, so she said some stuff. All sorts of fuss about it. I think they tried to do the right thing with the dwarfs, and they said, look, I know people with dwarfism don't like being called dwarfs, so we try to do something else. But by trying to keep everyone happy, I think they just started muddling things more.
Yeah.
Sometimes
nobody's happy.
Nobody's happy. Yeah. Rather than actually talking to a few people and say, what do you think we should do in this case? But so the film arrived, and I watched this late on Wednesday night. Usually I watch them very early in the morning, right? Mm-hmm. And I watched it on Wednesday night, just when the embargo lifted and all the reviews came out. And I have to say, they were all pretty negative, right? And I went, I've given up my Wednesday evening to watch this, and it's a children's movie, and now I'm going to watch this rubbish. Oh, no. And I sat down and watched it, and I don't see what the problem is, Rory. Like, I honestly, and I know I work with cinemas, right?
Yeah.
And I want people to go and see things, and I'm aware of that. But, honestly... it's fine. It's really nice.
Well, talk to me about. Okay, so we're about 10 years into this. Yeah. Disney's plan for remaking live action remakes of all their animated classics, right? So we've had Beauty and the Beast, we've had Cinderella, The Lion King, we've had Aladdin, all those. Okay, so I'm thinking right along the lines of say The Lion King, all right, which was technically not a live action remake, but whatever. But it was a shot for shot. Remake of the animated. Where does this sort of fall in? Is it shot for shot, line for line, or what's the story?
Not quite, and I would say all the better for it, because I thought The Lion King was the worst of those because it was shot for shot and it's still animated. Go, just watch The Lion King. Whereas Snow White, they do change it up a bit. For a start, look, the 1937 movie was brilliant, changed modern cinema history, right? But, like, her vocals, the way she sings in a 1937 style. It's all Noel Coward sort of rage. So little girls aren't listening to that. That's not what Sabrina Carpenter's doing, They don't want to hear that. Yeah. So it's much more in the classic now, what we would think of as Disney princess singing her big song, Frozen, that sort of stuff. Okay. So the vocals are different. Snow White's a bit cooler, right? Snow White kind of hangs around and just cleans up after the dwarfs, right? And, just kind of waits for the prince to rescue her. Snow White's a bit cooler now. We're in 2025. Why not? She's not exactly a ninja or anything. But, like, for example, when they go to clean up the house, they all do it together rather than Snow White doing it for them. Yeah. No big deal. You would want your daughter to be like that. Exactly. The look of the movie is just a bit more modern. The dwarfs live... The mine that they're in looks cool. They live in a nice, really big cottage that's kind of almost Harry Potter-esque. It's cool. Okay. So, all of that. But mostly I think, and I don't, you know, you've a daughter, but I don't have a 6-year-old daughter, but I think if I sat her down to watch the original Snow White, she'd like it, but she'd kind of go, it's a bit weird, isn't it? Whereas this is much more the thing. I think if we had...
So it's just more of a modernisation of the classic...
And not what the right-wing paper, or even the left-wing papers would have, it's all, they're trying to modernise it and change it. They're just kind of bringing it up in the times. In the same way, Rory, look, you play a retro music programme, right? Mm-hmm. But you don't play a lot of Count John McCormack, do you? Because that's not what the listeners want. Do you know what I mean? And if you were to play sometimes you play some very old-fashioned songs, but you probably play modern versions of them, like Ella Fitzgerald or Frank Sinatra singing them.
It's all about balance.
Yeah, it's all about balance. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong. That movie is, there's very few people alive anymore who saw that in the cinema. So that's how long ago as opposed to The Lion King, which would look as fresh today as it was. There's nothing wrong with it.
Where does it come in terms of, you're saying, right, it's marketed towards 6-year-old girls, all right? So in terms of the mums, the mammies and the daddies bringing the kids along, is there anything in there for them, or is it going to be a struggle? Is it going to be a slog?
Well, I'm not a 6-year-old girl anymore myself, and I absolutely enjoyed it. But here's the thing, a mutual friend of ours, Louise, who is a big Disney fan and is slightly older than 6, she said she loved it and it reminded her of being a little girl. I think if you're a dad who doesn't like any of the Disney films, first version or second version, there's nothing in this that's going to change your mind until you see the delight in your little girl's face. And I think that is the magic for it. Unlike some things, Rory, and I know we have to move on, sometimes things aren't for everyone, not in a bad way. You played brilliant songs on your show before, but I don't like all of them. That version of Singing in the Rain wrecks my head. Right? But that doesn't mean I don't like the next song. Do you know what I mean? Not everything has to be for everyone. This is made, I think, for an audience.
Why can I just ask you, just on that, I'm going to hone in on that. Why does that version of that song wreck your head?
This is one of my favourite movies of all time, probably.
Okay,
so and it's just weird. I keep on thinking it's going to go into Daft Punk, and then it suddenly goes into that. But it's cool. I like hearing it. I don't change the radio station. Now I go, cool, Rory's going to play something I like next. So even if you don't like this, I think it's fine, because I think the target audience will love it. And not everything has to be for all of us. Do you know what you said earlier?
Well,
I'm trying to keep everyone happy.
You can't please
and
everybody.
Usually when you try to do that, you please no one. Snow White, I think, is a rainy, miserable old weekend in Donegal this weekend, unfortunately. I think if you bring little girls, and maybe some older girls too, to see it, I think they're really going to enjoy it. And boys like me can enjoy it too. But you know what? If you don't like Disney, you're probably not going to like it. But go watch something else. But it's lot to be had.
And it's in theatres since yesterday.
Since yesterday. And I think it's going to be, the backlash is going to be a good lash. Because people are going to go, I don't see what the problem was. That's really fun.
Okay. All right. So that's Snow White in theatres now. We're going to go for a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk... What are we going to talk?
Well, we talk Black Bag. Really cool movie you're going to like.
All right. Talk about that right after. We're going to talk Black Bag.
Yeah, I thought we might, seeing as we've spent so much time in Snow White, we'll do a quick mention for a couple of movies that are out at the moment, are for grown-ups. And I really think with look, I know you've a little baby at home, so you're not getting to go to the cinema much. No. But there's a couple of movies out that people go, why don't they make good quality movies like this anymore? That are actually out at the moment. So I wanted to mention them. So Black Bag stars Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett. And it's made by Steven Soderbergh. And it's kind of in the style of, if you can imagine Ocean's 11 meets Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Okay. So it's a spy movie full of really cool, sexy people and sexy locations. But unlike most of those movies, nobody jumps off the top of a building. There's no exploding helicopters. There's no kind of do you know the way even James Bond, there's kind of a superhero element. You go, people couldn't survive that. This is all about really smart, clever people.
Okay, so there's not really, having to suspend disbelief.
No.
It's grounded.
No, it's grounded, even though there are super spies and satellites and stuff. But there's a bit of line of duty in it, in that the best scenes are the interrogation scenes, where it's just two people in a room interrogating. I was actually on the edge of my seat during, the actors are so good in it, right? They're so good in it. They'll probably be good in anything. But the fact they have a really good script, the fact that, and Rory, I love this, the movie is an hour and a half. It comes in, tells a story.
That's really the sweet spot, isn't it?
Michael Fassbender is the guy who works for the spies, hunting out who's lying and who's not. He's married to Cate Blanchett. His boss comes to him and says, I think we have a mole. It's one of 5 people. One of them is your wife.
I like that. Yeah. Just come back to the runtime. Yeah. I like that. It's a sign of good storytelling, good filmmaking, that you can tell a story effectively in that 90-minute window.
And they're confident about it. They don't say, oh, well, we throw in a car chase or something like that. They go, this is how long this story takes to tell. Sometimes the story does take 3 hours, but this one doesn't. It took us an hour and a half. Proper acting, and the thing is, it's set in a world where a lot of the spies go out with each other because no one else can understand why they suddenly have to go. And the phrase black bag, by the way, comes from, that's the code name for classified. So when you go home to the missus and she says, why are you home so late? You go, black bag, which means I can't say, and because everyone's in the business, they understand.
Okay.
And part of the question is, how often is it actually because something is classified and you're working for the spy? And how often do you just not want to tell your partner what you've been up to? I think you'd really enjoy it. It's really good. Another quick mention for Last Breath, which is a film that came out that I knew very little about. It stars Woody Harrelson. It's a true story about a diving accident. Apparently there's a documentary on Netflix that a lot of people had seen. I hadn't seen this, so I didn't know what happened. It's guys fixing a North Sea oil rig, and something goes badly wrong on it. My God.
This is based on a true story.
It's not even based in that. It comes up and says, this is completely true, because it's so mad what happens. It could only be a true story, because nobody can make it up. I don't think I've any nails left after watching it, Rory. It's one of the best movies, best movie experience I've ever had. Scuba diving fascinates me and terrifies me at the same time. It's, there's been more people on the moon than have been to the bottom of the ocean. And it's one of those sort of things. I think it's absolutely brilliant. And as far as I know, in cinemas all around the world, not that many people are going to it. But while it's there, all of you who said, why don't we get really clever, good stories out there? Go and see this. I'll absolutely guarantee. Rory will give you your money back if you don't enjoy it. That's probably not a guarantee. But
what are you signing me up for?
No, but it's brilliant, and I just wanted to mention it because I'm sure the cinemas would rather I plug more about Snow White and stuff like that. But honestly, I think people would like to know.
But there is an appetite, and I feel there is a need to get back to good storytelling. Fair enough. You have your summer blockbusters, you have your Marvel and all the other sort of stuff that shows off all the best CGI and whatever, but there's a lot of fatigue around that now, and audiences just aren't looking for that anymore. They want to go to be entertained. They want to go and be told a good story, and like that, to be in suspense.
Yeah, because
we're all
watching that on telly. Funnily enough, we're watching those great stories, and you wouldn't believe the twist and all that on telly. But in cinema, because people think, you can only go to cinema because it's big and there's explosions and that's, or really loud sound. No, there's good stories out there, and if we don't, and also these movies cost about maybe 25 million to make. So, we wouldn't be better if we 10 of these movies sometimes instead of some of the big, massive flops that we have. I don't think so, Mike.
That's it. If you have a movie that costs, as you say, 25 million and it makes 6 times its budget back, rather than a movie that costs 250 million some of
the lamer, I love Marvel, but some of the lamer Marvel spin-offs, like Craven's of, why do that? Do 10 of these movies, and I really think people would enjoy it. I really think. I suppose we probably should finish with our big hit that's coming up, though. Now, Rory, can you explain Minecraft to me? I am older than you.
No.
Do you get it?
No. I never played it. No. It means nothing to me. I know of it.
Yeah, and you kind of know.
I saw the trailer.
Yeah, and you know kind of what the game looks like. And one of the things that
I knew straight away, that's Minecraft.
Yeah.
But that's where it stopped.
Yeah, and it's one of the games that also seems to be fairly gender neutral, in that both boys and girls will like playing it. But what fascinated me, and this is a real generation thing, is not only do they like playing it, they like watching YouTube, watching other people play it, which I think is amazing. And
I never got that.
No.
I never understood why you'd like to say. You remember what it was like growing up when you went over to your mate's house and they were playing Super Mario on the SNES. Right? I want to go. You didn't want to sit there for 4 hours watching them. But, you know what I mean?
I suppose time moves on, but it has, despite this, I was going, they're making a Minecraft movie. I don't know, will that be big? And then, I was talking to some 7, 8-year-olds going, oh my God, they are so excited about this movie. They're just going mad about it. It's coming out over these holidays. I think it's going to be a monster hit. And I feel I'll be up here next month and I'll be talking about it. And I might still be going, Rory, I still don't get it. But again, it doesn't matter.
But it's not up to us.
Yeah, exactly.
To get it. That's what we're talking about.
And that's kind of the bookend. And I'm also always aware of, when I heard there was a Lego movie, I said, that is the most stupid thing I've ever heard. A Lego movie. Who wants a Lego movie? And I now count it as one of my top movies of all time.
The funniest, cleverest movie.
Yeah. Yeah. So smart. And maybe Minecraft will be the same. But you know what? If it doesn't, but all of those kids like it. And what's funny about it, Minecraft's been going such a long time. There's lots of teenagers and 20-year-olds who are so nostalgic for it or probably go and see the movie. Because that's what happens with Sonic.
Yeah.
You get a lot of 25-year-olds going to see Sonic.
That in itself is scary. That we're talking about stuff that was out in the 2000s as nostalgia.
Yeah, I know.
On that bombshell.
Let's play some Crowded House.
Thanks a million, Collie. We'll talk to you next month. Thanks for coming in and joining us this morning.
Always a pleasure. Thank you, Rory.
That's Collie McFadgen there. We're talking